President, over recent months our union has had more summits than our former colleague Reinhold Messner, and our Parliament has had a string of reports on improving the economy. But what those summits and those reports have done is provide Member States with stepping stones across the river of recession. Now we need the Council to cross without fear or flight. And I congratulate the authors of the Anderson, Ferreira and Kirilov reports. They offer a consistent and pragmatic perspective written in the light of the unemployment avalanche on our horizon. And their underlying message is this: jobs, jobs, jobs. The Lisbon strategy, employment guidelines, cohesion policy, these have always argued for flexicurity in our economies, for public investment in research and development, for the rapid transition to the knowledge economy. They are the foundations on which a healthy, dynamic and secure job market is built. And from today's vantage point, one thing is clear to everyone except perhaps some on the benches over here. It was not the Lisbon strategy that brought hardship to our kitchen tables. Rather, it is the Member States which ignored it that are suffering the deepest and will suffer the longest. So now is the time to put the foot on the floor and drive forward a Lisbon Plus programme and employment guidelines that reflect the realities of our union. National parliaments, regional governments, city halls, each must be empowered to rise to that challenge and named and shamed when they do not. Nor should we accept heel-dragging over the need to protect the planet. The Council will consider the EU's negotiating stance for the Copenhagen Climate Conference. Just how much money, Mr. Vondra, will the 27 allot to adaptation and mitigation in the developing world? Climate change will not stop as the economy slows, and the poorest countries will suffer still from our carbon consumption. So recession must not mean inaction. Member States must commit the cash to counter climate change and to create green-collar jobs in the process. Perhaps by using the money we have, as Claude Turmes suggests, to leverage more through the EIB or the EIF. But the Council knows that the ravages of recession will return without root and branch reform of the financial system. Next month's G20 is tasked with recasting the mould, and I welcome the tone taken by European leaders when they met in Berlin. The IMF should be financed effectively, tax havens should be subject to scrutiny, and financial institutions should be regulated robustly, with an effective European Financial Services Authority overseeing the system. Not to drag our economies back into the past, but to create an open, honest and transparent system of trade that is free and fair. London, Paris, Berlin, each is keen to stress that Europe stands united. But the President of the Council tells us that differences persist. I hope the President of the Council will be here to report back to us from this summit, because he should be here today. If differences persist, it will not do. We need Europe to be strong in mind, fleet of foot and united in purpose over the weeks and months ahead, ready to strip out the toxic assets that are crippling bank balances, ready to reform bank practice to restore creditworthiness, and ready to accept that the current stimulus package may not be enough. Because it's no good topping up the IMF if there's no global financial system to support. And while it is rough justice that responsible Member States must mitigate against default by those who lived it up, that may be the price to pay to avoid the contagion of economic meltdown. Put simply, Mr. President, we need Council, Commission and Parliament to work together, coolly, calmly, collectively, preventing procedure from getting the better of purpose. Europe can fight fire no longer. The time has come for the fundamental reform that will provide jobs now and security in the future.